A video, Space Cowboy, about your amazing videos, because they're amazing. And then we're going to watch Virtual Insanity, which is even more amazing, and you have to think a lot to explain the whole thing. But who's in charge? Who's the director? What's your function? What's your input in the videos? There's a lot of dancing involved.
Yeah, I think my input is I try to come up with the original idea. You have to look at how you perform, and I perform best to camera, dancing, performing in that way. In the past, videos have not quite been how I wanted them to be, because, you know, at the end of the day, there is not a huge budget for these things, you know. I mean, I'm not Michael Jackson, you know, we don't have, and I to be honest, I can't warrant spending $6 million on something anyway. I can think of a lot more things I'd like to do with $6 million, but there you go. So I think simplicity is good, and Virtual Insanity was an idea that spawned from my own idea to have, you know, airports, you have travelators. You know, the things you stand on and they take you, you know? And the idea was to work against it, because of the way you're moving, to work against the travelator. But it was so complex to get the travelator. So what we did in the end, the director Jonathan Glazier, he came up with the idea to have a camera locked off here, 3 sides to a room, yeah?
Okay.
Sofa here, twisted on, you know, they're stuck on. People on the outside of the room push the room.
Okay.
So when I stand at this end, the camera's the 4th room. So when they push the camera towards, I can go like that, and it looks like I'm just gliding along. But then what happens is, it was very disorientating. At first I was like this. Yeah. Because we have to do it a couple of lines at a time. Because you have to stop, otherwise you negate the effect. If they push it this way, and I walk this way, you get no effect. So the trouble is, if you're halfway in the middle of the room and they start pushing, you run out of room. Which is why you see me go on my knees. It's like, and try and get out of it, you know? And then they unlock the sofas off the side of the wall. So then when they push, the sofa stays where it is. So the sofa looks like it's moving. And then they push it towards. And then I could hear them outside. Northeast! Northwest! West! South! You know? So, but once you see the effects of the monitor, it was like, yeah, that's the one.
Bueno, vamos a ver ese video muy en corto. So, the director from the Space Cowboy is the same director from Virtual Insanity, or is a different director?
No, the directors for Space Cowboy were the people who did Blow Your Mind. That was Vaughan and Anthea.
Okay, so there was a lot of dancing involved. You were naturally a dancer, or you were improving in the meantime?
What that was a camera that just goes round and round and round and twists as it goes. Never stops. So I just follow it. And I just did that 10, 12 times. And so you see different ones of me. It's just the same thing. I just go around with it all the time, round and round.
As you feel like singing, you were always feel like dancing, always, as a child?
Oh yeah, I think the movement when I'm on the stage is important. So people, it helps me hold on to the definition of the music. Because we do a lot of Latin type stuff, a lot of brass stuff, a lot of percussion stuff. And so the stops and the accents, you know, the brass is a punctuating instrument, which is how I like to use it. So people understand, you know, where things are, man. They see your hands. And it helps to explain where your music is coming from.
Continuamos con Jamiroquai, aquí en el Royal Albert Hall. Seguimos con Jay aquí en Hora Prima. Jay, you already did the whole explanation for the Virtual Insanity video, which is the video we're going to watch now. But I saw some MTV News special in which you were talking about Virtual Insanity, the lyrics. You already show a little bit pessimistic view about like technology, about like what's happening now in everything, in computers, in weapons, in like the way technology is growing against the man.
Yeah. It's not so much the technology, it's where the technology gets used. And if technology falls into the wrong hands, it becomes disastrous. And my concern is not the technology, it's the genetics. This is what Virtual Insanity is really about. although I use technology, I use it in the sense of food technology. How we make our food, how we produce our food. No food's organic anymore. You know, people can say, I'm a vegetarian. You don't know where the vegetables are. You don't know what they sprayed on it. Paraquat, T45. You know, the sheep dips. There's a big thing in England now about the mad cow. But, you know, this is what happens when you mess about with nature. And I'm frank, you know, I'm being frank. If you feed cows themselves, you end up with disease. I mean, there was a cannibal tribe in Papua New Guinea, and they used to eat the brains of people. And it creates a disease where they go mad, you know, frothing in the mouth and all the rest. Now, and this is common sense. Surely this is natural law. And if only we would apply a little more to the natural law of the world, you know, it's only one planet, you know, only one little planet. And I think that people start messing around, you know, before long we will be cloning each other, you know, they'll be cloning.
That's gonna be the end.
And I think when you mix the toxicity levels in the world, in food and in drugs, and you start putting those together in radiation, I think in maybe hundreds of years, if we last that long, but we will start to mutate. I believe that, you know, with so much chemical imbalance around in the world, I think we're going to end up with a frightening mutations and a frighteningly overpopulated world. You know, this is our big problem now. There isn't the land to feed people. And the world's gone crazy. You know, people are in Russia. They've completely lost the Ural Sea, a whole sea, because they've diverted all the water to make cotton, to make clothes. Clothes are not as important as food. People need to be fed, and I still believe there's enough food in this world for everybody. You know, and the song is virtual insanity. The world has gone crazy. You know, it's like the money that gets spent, like I said before, on weapons. The Americans have gone and spent. They've bought 20 stealth bombers at $2 billion a piece. That's $40 billion. Now, don't tell me $40 billion couldn't feed, and not necessarily feed, but actually create the opportunity for people to grow their own food and look after themselves, hospitals, schools, education, because education is what we need so sorely in this world. When people are not educated, they have no chance, you know? And I just think these, amongst other things, I like the lyric in the song, you know, now the mother can choose the color of her child, and literally it's going to be like that. You're going to look at a color chart and go, I think I'll have a white kid with blue eyes and black hair, and that's Aryan. We're getting around to Joseph Mengele Nazi stuff here, you know, and I don't like that. I mean, that's not natural. It's horrible. You know, and everybody knows that mongrels last longer than pedigrees.
Bueno, el video va a ir, aunque el video es el baile, Jay lo dijo todo con respecto al mensaje, que es lo importante. Ahí va, virtual.